Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. We're here today continuing our series as we go through each year in the 80s. And tonight we're going to be doing our top 5 horror movies from the year 1982. Coriander's with me and Killian, of course. Guys, this should be a really fun year. There were a lot of great movies that came out, and I think we're going to have fun with this one. Kill, when you think of 1982, what comes to mind, or how difficult or easy was this for you?
Man, this year was magic. I mean, it was so many great movies, so many great beginning entries to franchises, and it was just a great year for horror and sci-fi, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It was a great year for movies in general, man. This year had so many movies outside of horror that were really great, like Rocky 3, Star Trek 2, Blade Runner. I mean, the list kind of went on and on and on. So this was like one of those years that a lot of people say is one of the best for movies in general. So how about you, Coriander?
I mean, yeah, I was able to pick 5 movies pretty easily, and I'm satisfied with what I came up with. So hopefully you guys will be too.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, bitch.
Okay, sounds like a plan. For you guys that are watching, hopefully you've been keeping up with us. We've already completed 1980 and 1981. If you haven't checked out those videos, please check them out. They were a lot of fun to do. And also, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps to support us. We'd really appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. And let's get down to brass tacks. We're going to do this round robin style, as we always do. Kill, you'll go first, then Coriander's pick, and then I'll go last. So Kill, when we talk about 1982, what is your number 5 pick for a top horror film?
Okay, so first off, let me just say I love all these movies, but something had to be my number 5.
Right.
And I'm a fan of anthology horror, and in my opinion, one of the best. Creepshow. So Creepshow is my number 5. Now let me just preface this. I like Creepshow 2 more than 1. It's like taking a great thing and making it even better.
I agree with that one.
Thank you. But look, you can't go wrong with George Romero and Stephen King, guys. This movie has so much horror, great special effects, and comedy. It has a cast of a lot of great character actors, especially from the 80s and the 70s, and I believe this vignette had 3 entries, or no, what was this one? This 5.
One had 5. Yeah,
this was 5. 2 has 3.
Yeah, you had Father's Day, the Cockroaches, Jordy Verrill, The Crate, and The Tide with Leslie Nielsen and Ted Danson. Yeah,
right. Well, for me, the scariest one that is still to this day nightmare fuel is the one with the cockroaches. Even when I watch that today, it still gives me the it's just
and they were real.
Like,
they used real cockroaches.
Yeah.
Yes.
Back in the 80s.
Just imagine if they're crawling in your mouth.
Oh
no.
There's no rules in the 80s, guys. We're gonna have real things. Keep it authentic.
That's right.
So yeah, this one definitely had to be on my list. So yeah, Creepshow, that's my number 5.
All right, cool one, awesome. How about you, Coriander? What do you have for your number 5?
Okay, so my number 5. Cat people. And all I have to say is it's interesting how this and Stephen King did one about cats, didn't he? What the hell was it called again?
Cat's Eye?
Cat's Eye.
No.
Oh, Maybe Sleepwalkers.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Sleepwalkers. Okay. And I don't understand why they always have to have incestual relationships. They have anything to do with cat people. But this movie again has it. But you've got Nastassja Kinski and Malcolm McDowell, and yeah, this is a crazy movie with about sexuality and a brother and sister, and it's got a great score. It's got an electronic score, if you like, because 80s, and it's obviously it's pretty good. And David Bowie, he sings the theme song, and so it's a interesting movie, and that's my number 5.
That's one way to put it. It's definitely interesting. But what's cool about it, I remember the first time I saw it, it was so weird that it stood out. But in a good way, you know what I mean? Like some things are just too weird, you don't even want to even think about it again. But this one was weird in the sense that, it felt kind of like a fever dream. Some of the imagery was just, it just seemed, otherworldly. And like you said, the whole back and forth between the two leads, it was odd, but it was also pretty powerful, man. And you had some really good effects, especially for back then. It was a movie that really it stood out to me. I actually have the Scream Factory Blu-ray edition of it, and it's pretty cool, man. It's a good one.
We'll have to to bring that so that we can watch that.
We'll have to check it out,
Blu-ray.
man. We'll have to talk about it at some point. It's a movie that's interesting. Kill, have you seen that one, Cat People?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, it's trippy. It's trippy, but it's a good one for 1982. Good pick. Well, for me, this was very, very difficult, and there were a lot of movies that came to my mind. I ultimately knew pretty much what my 5 were going to be, but I do have an honorable mention or 2 that I wanted to talk about. And my first honorable mention I want to throw out there real quick is a movie that it's intense, it's in your face, it's kind of over the top, gore type of stuff, but what more would you expect from Lucio Fulci? One of my honorable mentions is New York Ripper. And that movie is just crazy. Coriander, we watched it together, and I know you're a big Fulci fan too. You basically have your usual thing, a burned out police detective who's teaming up with a psychology student or whatever, and they're trying to track down this killer who slashes women around the city, with a switchblade and razors and all that type of stuff. And so it's pretty straightforward, but it's really, really well done. Obviously, with Fulci, everything is well done. And so I wanted to throw that out there as an honorable mention. But my number 5 is a movie that I love so much. It doesn't get enough love. It's underrated. We talked about this on Slasher Movie Club. A great, great slasher film. And I'm talking about Pieces. And yes, we had a great time with this on one of our episodes of Slasher Movie Club. You've got Christopher George in it. You've got Linda Day George is in it. And it's just one of those, again, like a mystery whodunit type of thing. Christopher George is playing this detective, this Boston detective, who is trying to figure out who's killing these Boston co-eds at a college on a campus. And they're trying to create, the killer's trying to create this human jigsaw puzzle from their body parts. So it's really gory. It's got some over-the-top scenes, but very well done. It's almost kind of like, it's a giallo, but it's almost kind of like, it's body horror too in a way. It's really, really trippy, but it's a great film. Linda Day George is great in it. I love the scene where she's freaking out after they find a body, and she's like, So although Coriander, you weren't too impressed with her tennis skills, because she was.
Oh my God, dude.
She was supposed to be a tennis athlete, but she didn't really, show a lot of skill doing it. But she showed skill in everything else because she's Linda Day George. But
Yes.
Some great scenes, man. That waterbed kill scene was really, really good. There's a lot of beauty in this film, but also it's grotesque, but that's how a lot of these movies are. So anyways, my number 5 is Pieces. Kill. Let's move on to number 4. What do you got for me?
Okay, so my number 4, and I believe this franchise has been on a lot of our lists, so far in the 80s rankings. But this one was a little bit of a departure, but in my opinion, a good one. My number 4 is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. So look, there's no Michael in this. There's no reverse William Shatner mask. There's no Busta Rhymes. There's nothing in here. But what you do have, there's not even Busta. But no, what you do have is a really great mystery. And you got Tom Atkins being a stone pimp. All right. Like, I'm sorry. Like, Tom, he's a surgeon in here, and he's thrusted into a mystery, of a patient he had, and it surrounds himself with a beautiful woman trying to help her out, and the mystery of the Silver Shamrock Corporation, where that song is an earworm. I'm not going to even sing it because Night will be humming it all night long. Yeah, there you go. Okay. But no, this is a really great movie, and I hope I'm not speaking for Night here, but when it first came out, we weren't the hottest on it, because Halloween movie, you want to see Michael Myers, and but as we've grown older and our taste has broadened, we realized this was a pretty good movie, and a great mystery and some great gore effects too, and so yeah, this one, maybe a few years ago it may not have made this list, but it makes it now. So if you guys have not seen it in a while, or if you've just been like us, too stubborn, or you didn't want to give it a chance, check out Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. It's not bad.
Yeah, man, it is pretty damn good. And by the way, I want to second what you said, because when I first saw this as a kid, I was totally like, what the hell? I truly did hate this movie for a number of years, because I really felt like I was robbed. It wasn't promoted the right way. They didn't tell people that Michael wasn't in it. So I think a lot of people were upset about it. But yeah, like you said, I came around on it. And I would like to proudly say that Coriander as well has come over on the other side of the fence, because she wasn't the biggest fan of this either. And when we did our episode on it to review it, we had to watch it because we watch things. And she said, yeah, it is a pretty good movie. I'm like, yeah, damn right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool, man. Cool. All right, Coriander, what do we have for you at number 4?
Okay, so this is a special movie to me, this number 4 of mine. It is Swamp Thing. And this is an actual movie that I did get to see as a kid with my father. And the scene, like I said, it always stuck with me. I don't know why, just because I was like, holy crap. But when the chick's boob got cut off and he put it back on her, and it was like, wow, that was like crazy. And like I said, certain things with certain movies I'll never forget. And that is a scene that, I won't forget. But it's a great movie. You had a scientist that was doing experiments and shit went wrong. And it I don't know if it blew up on him or something. And he ended up, turning into the Swamp Thing. And then, because people were like, holy shit, this creature, but he was actually nice. He was a good Swamp Thing. He wasn't evil. He wasn't, he was just trying to save the chick he loved. And I guess his work. So, it's a great movie. And that's it.
and directed by Wes Craven.
That's right.
And Wes Craven, man, back in the day, and I'd even seen, because we talked about this on an episode when we reviewed it, and I'd seen images of Wes in the swamps with those thigh-high boots, and man, I was like, wow, Wes was right in the thick of it. You'd expect no less from the master. So yeah, Swamp Thing was a cool movie. I remember seeing it as a kid, and of course, being a superhero type of thing, anti-hero, whatever.
Yeah. And the guy from Last House on the Left, what the hell's his name's in it? The dark-haired dude.
Who played Krug in Last House on the Left?
Yeah,
David Hess. He was in Last House on the Left.
yes, that's the guy.
Yeah,
I can never remember his name.
Yeah, he's always good as a villain. He really is. He's slimy. Yeah,
he is slimy.
All right. Okay, good one. For me, my next honorable mention that I wanted to throw out there, and this is another movie that we talked about on Slasher Movie Club, and it's kind of a fun horror movie. It's one of those ones, when I saw it back in the day, it just kind of stuck with me. Part of it is because it has, I don't know, it has kind of a charm to it, but I just wanted to give it some credit. So my honorable mention I want to throw out there is The House on Sorority Row. And that, to me, is a really fun horror movie from 1982. It's got this, like I said, this charm to it. You basically have these college, these sorority sisters, and they play this prank. It goes horribly wrong, and they have to hide the body of a person that they killed by accident. And someone or something knows about it, and so they get picked off one by one, that type of thing. So to me, that always was a fun movie, and I really enjoyed it. We talked about it on an episode.
How do we know she is
my number 4 that I want to talk about on my top 5 list, this is a movie that I think is fantastic. It has so many great things, and visuals, and just the way that it's shot, and the actors and everything. So my number 4 is Tenebrae, and we talked about this one as well. When you talk about Dario Argento, you cannot go wrong, and this one is great. You've got an American author he's like promoting his latest murder mystery book, and he becomes entangled in this big situation where there's a killer on the loose, and supposedly the killer is inspired by the novel itself. And it's just crazy, but it's a really good mystery. It's a really good whodunit. Some really great kills.
Cinematography.
Yeah, the cinematography is crazy. Yes.
I love the colors that he uses in like all of his films. He's like, he's really, really like artistic in that way.
Yeah, I mean, that scene where you've got that one shot with the camera going up the apartment complex, and you got the music just jamming in, and just the way that the camera work is going, it's just so cool, man. It's there's a certain it's like it's at a higher level than most films, and you can tell that as soon as you watch it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the great hallmarks of a lot of Argento's films, is that he just has a flair and a style to his movies that just draws you in. And this is a great example of it. The Kill, you haven't seen this one, right, Kill?
No.
This is one that I think you should definitely check out. There's a kill, no pun intended, in this movie where this lady, let's just say this, there's a kill that happens, and there's a limb that is detached, and the blood that comes out, first of all, Coriander alluded to it earlier, the brightness, it's just crazy. But there's so much, there's more blood that's coming out of this person than there should be in the whole body. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's like Mortal Kombat on drugs. It's but it's awesome.
That's what's so fun about his movies too.
Right. It's gross, and it's obviously a horrible thing, but he has an art to it. There's a beauty to it. So, and that's just one thing. You got John Saxon is in it. Daria Nicolodi, she's in it. We love her. It's just a great cast. It's a fun movie. So anyways, this had to be on my list. And so there it is at number 4. I've got Tenebrae.
Turn it down!
Kill. We're going to move on to our number 3.
Okay.
What do you got, man?
So this is where it starts to get hard for me, because my number 3 and my number 2 could easily have been switched, depending on the day. But there's no lying here. There is no lying. And for me, my number 3 is Friday the 13th, Part 3. Or as I like to call it, let's bring the hockey mask. Okay.
Yes.
So look, you guys know here on the channel, we love the Friday movies, and hell, I think there's been a Friday movie on almost every one of these 80s lists. But this one is special for me because he gets that mask, and it's that crisp, shiny,
it's crisp.
Shelly mask that he just imported to the island during the summer. No ice hockey rink to be seen, but he felt the need to bring an ice hockey mask. Thank you for doing the Lord's work, because Jason Voorhees needed a new mask. And once again, no disrespect to the sack boy, because the sack boy, he's running after you with a machete. That is scary. But the hockey mask is iconic. It's like Freddy's claw, or Michael's mask, or his, butcher knife. So
it's so funny because you're always saying sack boy. It's almost like the truth comes out.
Yeah, that's what we said in our last episode.
It's scary though. It is scary. Okay. I'm just saying that one eye hole. Who knows what's going on under that sack? I don't know. Is he smiling? Is he sad?
Who cares?
But this one was definitely an easy one. I knew it was going to be on my list. Excuse me. My only consternation was, is it my number 2 or is it my number 3? But yeah, Friday the 13th Part 3, guys. Hockey mask.
All right. Jeez. All right, Coriander, what do you have for your number 3?
Okay, so this is actually a shocker that it's on my list. This number 3 of mine. This movie is called Silent Rage. I was never, ever a big Chuck Norris fan. My dad, I remember him watching his movies. Whenever I'd see him or fucking the worst person in the world, Steven Seagal, I'd just turn around and leave the room. Okay? But this movie kicks so much ass. I mean, you have Chuck, who plays this, obviously he's like a cop, and he kills this murderer. They bring him to the hospital, and the friggin' doctors give him this like experimental drug, and it brings him back to life. And he is now indestructible, this friggin' zombie, and he's going around murdering people. And you've got Chuck, going after him, and it's such an awesome friggin' movie. So this had to be on my list. So yeah, man,
this movie and Kill, we probably watched this movie when we were kids, because Dad was always watching Chuck Norris films, and Eastwood and Bronson and obviously Stallone. I had kind of forgotten about this movie, to be honest with you, until we did it for an episode of Slasher Movie Club. And this movie is awesome. It is truly awesome. It is literally Chuck Norris versus Michael Myers. Okay. It is. It really is, because this guy, he just doesn't die, because this experimental drug is, has given him, he can recover quicker. He's stronger. But
did Chuck shoot him 7 times?
Chuck fucking blew him up, and he's skipping at him.
Chuck would have needed to have shot him 100 times. This guy was on some god level shit. Michael Myers shit, man.
Yeah.
But the thing that was cool about it too is that it was a mishmash of things. It was a mystery. It was kind of like a slasher. It also had the elements of action and martial arts that Chuck always brings. And Chuck was really good in it, man. He was very he was just really cool. His charisma was shining.
He made me a fan.
Did I hurt you?
Yeah. You hurt my feelings.
Yeah, it's a great movie, man. So anyone who hasn't seen it ever, or if you haven't seen it in a long time, like it was the case for me,
you gotta watch it.
You gotta check it out. It's a good one. Silent Rage is awesome, man. Seriously. Great pick, Coriander. Great pick.
Thank you.
All right. So my last honorable mention that I wanted to throw out here, and this could have been my number 3, but you know, when we do these lists, it's challenging because we love so many movies, and obviously talking about horror in each of these years, there's so many good ones, you know what I mean? And sometimes you just got to pick between one and another, and it might be because you've watched it more, or maybe because it's higher on your list right now. It's just tough. But my last honorable mention, is a movie that's already been talked about, and I would love to have it on my list, but I didn't. But it could have been. I'm talking about Creepshow. And Kill, you said it plain as day. It's a great anthology. To be quite honest, I go back and forth on whether or not I like this less or more than Creepshow 2, because I love them both. But there are times when I've put one above the other. The thing I love about this movie, about Creepshow, the first Creepshow, is that all 5 of these stories I really dig, you know, and they've got different rhythms to them, you know. I mean, like the one with Stephen King playing Jordy is stupid as hell, but it's entertaining, you know, in a really silly ass way, you know.
Meteor ship.
Jordy, you know, it's like I dig it. You know, one of my standouts has to be Leslie Nielsen and Ted Danson in the Tides one. That one, Leslie Nielsen was a bad mofo in that one, and I love it. It's creepy. You know, it's a little bit of dark humor in it, and it's. I'd hate to be in that position like Ted Danson, man. But I also love.
You wouldn't
Father's
be in
Day.
that position.
Well, no, but I'm just saying is the fact that, you know, if you're in sand up to your neck, you know, right by the edge where the water is, man, that's scary situation.
You wouldn't even be caught dead by the water. Who are you kidding?
Well, that too.
I can't even get you in my dad's pool.
Well, hey, that's a whole nother story. But anyways, but I love Creepshow, so I had to have that as an honorable mention. Back to the regular countdown. My number 3 had to have this on my list. There's no doubt about it. And it's Friday 13th Part 3. There's no lying. There is no lying. Listen, and I just did a video not too long ago about what to me is one of the more underrated Scream Queens or final girls in the Friday franchise and in horror in general. And that's Chris Higgins, played by the amazing Dana Kimmel. I think she was a great final girl in Friday the 13th Part 3. You know, she had survived an attack from Jason previously and then chose to come back to Crystal Lake at her parents' little cabin with some friends to kind of deal with her trauma. You know, so that in and of itself is a really cool backstory and there are a lot of great final girls in Friday. We all know that, and we love so many of them, but that is a really, really unique backstory. And so she was just an awesome final girl. Like you said, Kill, the ultimate hero of the Friday the 13th franchise has to be Shelley, played by the awesome Larry Zerner. If we can ever get Larry Zerner
I've been
on
waiting
the
for you to do it.
What, get him on?
No. What do you always say when we talk about Shelley?
You know what I'm gonna say. That mask was crisp.
Not the mask, but you're always like, Shelley's dead.
Oh yeah,
right?
Shelley's dead.
There you go.
That stoner chick, she was funny. The stoners were funny, man. But yeah, man. But yeah, I mean, it had a lot of great characters like Shelley that were just you just wouldn't expect to enjoy them as much as you do. But I do, right? And the bikers, they were pretty cool. Vera, that scene, one of my standout scenes is when Shelley gets killed off camera. We don't even see it, but he had the hockey mask with him because he tried to scare Vera on the dock. And then Jason comes out, and you hear that little ding, 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 with the music kind of popping in a little bit, and he's walking. And Richard Brooker, first of all, rest in peace to Richard Brooker, one of my favorite Jasons. He walked out there like a pimp, and he points that harpoon gun to Vera, and Vera, for whatever reason, I don't know why, was thinking, who is that? I know she wasn't thinking was Shelley, because Richard Brooker is huge in this movie, man. But he shoots her with the gun. A great kill, great practical effects. And then the way he throws the gun down and then kind of turns away, kind of like, and what? He had this physicality to him, the way he moved. There were times when he ran, that scene in the hallway when Chris is coming at him with the knife and, kind of just slashing at him, and he's just kind of moving and stuff. It's just iconic stuff. The handstand kill. I mean, this movie, we haven't even talked about the 3D, which the 3D it was cool, back in the day. It's not that great today. A couple of scenes are all right with it, but just the charm that this movie has, there's no way I couldn't have it on my list. It's one of my favorite Friday the 13th. When I was a kid, I absolutely watched the hell out of this film. And again, Richard Brooker, this Jason was the Jason I had the most nightmares about until Kane came along,
Wow.
So anyways,
I've never had a Jason, Michael, or Freddy nightmare ever.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, man.
But see, but you saw them when you were older. I was watching this shit when I was 6 and 7 years old.
Yeah, but when I saw Carrie, that didn't give me nightmares. When I watched Halloween 3, I hated that movie, but that didn't give. Well, I'm just saying. When I saw The Exorcist, that scared me, but it didn't give me nightmares.
Yeah. Well, hey, there you go. But anyways, my number 3 had to have it on my list. Friday the 13th Part 3, all day. All right,
Nice.
Kill. Let's go to our number 2. Let's be careful. Be careful. Proceed with caution, bro.
So this one is a movie that's near and dear to my heart growing up, and I would say, for Night as well. It's an amazing movie, and I just wish that I could name 2 number 1s on my list, but I can't. And there's no lying here. So my number 2 is The Thing. So look, before Night tries to cut my head off or something here, I absolutely love this film, and I've seen this film probably almost as many times as Night has. I think he still might have me beat by a couple hundred extra viewings. This is damn near a perfect film. Kurt Russell, doing his thing. The score, the cinematography, the actors, the camaraderie that the actors have in this movie. And for me, the nightmare fuel special effects. This movie straight up still looks better than some movies that just came out last year. And that's a damn shame. These men and women were doing stuff all practical, and it looks amazing. And me as a youngling watching this was nightmare fuel. And
Aww.
No disrespect to the prequel, with the Elizabeth Winstead. That's all well and nice, but it's not that original. It's not that OG. And this was an easy pick, obviously, for this year. And I'm not going to talk
that floating head.
Oh man! and once again, special effects. CG versus practical effects. I'm not going to talk too much about this movie because I feel like it might come back up. I don't know. But if for some reason you guys have not watched The Thing, after you finish watching this, go buy it because you're going to want to watch it over and over and over again. It's magic. So there you go.
No doubt. All right. Very, very cool. Okay, Coriander, what do we have for your number 2?
All right, so my number 2 is Poltergeist. It's an incredible ghost story. And you never want to build anything on native land, especially if it was a burial ground, because no good things are ever going to come of it. So yeah, and that's what happened to these poor people. You know, you had Daddy there. What the hell was his name?
Craig T. Nelson.
Steve.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Steven.
Okay. Yes. But I always like using their real name.
Yeah.
Friggin' Craig T. Nelson, right? Decides to him and his wherever he worked, this realty company or whoever, decided to build a neighborhood on, this land where there was these graves that they said, oh, we'll move all the graves. But did they?
Right.
I don't think so, because you had a whole bunch of shit going down. So yeah, this is a great movie. I love it.
It is, man. It's one of the staples of the '80s, man. And whether Toby Hooper did a great job with it, and whether or not Steven Spielberg came in and helped out a little bit or even more, it doesn't matter. It's still a great film. So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. All right. Well, my number 2, and this is where it got a little interesting, more so with my number 2 and my number 3. But I picked my number 2 because it's a film that it's just always been special to me ever since I was a kid. It's a fantastic movie from A to Z, so well done. And my number 2 is Poltergeist. So
Nice.
I had to have this on my list too, man. It's such a good film, man, and a big reason for it is because of the characters, and obviously the actors,
the family
portraying these
dynamic.
characters.
Yeah.
It's great,
Yeah.
man. You really enjoy this family, and they take their time to introduce the family. They take the time to show them having fun or having arguments, the kids, the siblings having arguments. And when things start to happen, and especially when Carol Ann gets abducted, it's kind of like, oh crap, you're really invested. And that takes a little while. A lot of people, they kind of forget Carol Ann didn't really get taken until, it had to have been at least about a half hour or so into the movie easily. Because they took their time to really introduce these characters. And, of course, rest in peace to Heather O'Rourke. She was, just adorable in this role, and she's just always cemented as the face of Poltergeist. Obviously the scene where she said they're here and so forth, but you had so many other great actors and actresses as well. And also, it's so much tragedy. Let me just say that too, because unfortunately, Dominic Dunn, and her death, and so it was a lot of tragedy for these actors, and I feel bad about that. But like you mentioned, Coriander, Craig T. Nelson, fantastic. Jo Beth Williams was a standout as Diane, the mother. The scene that always got me, there was multiple ones, but when she goes into the pool and there's these skeletons that come out, and to find out that these were real skeletons that Jo Beth Williams was in water with. And she wasn't,
and that shit was getting in her mouth. And
yes.
Over, man.
She was pretty upset about that. You know what I mean? That she had to do the scene like that. And her reactions were pretty real. And I mean, it's like, wow. And it's just so well done, that scene. But this family that's being kind of broken up, and trying to come back together, that's really at the heart what this movie is about, man. And Kill, I remember when we watched as kids, just different things that would kind of, I won't get too deep into it, but different things that just kind of stand out. And, that's those type of memories that you have with movies that last for a long time. And this is a good example of that because we watched it with our parents. So anyways, had to be on my list. It was a question if it was number 2 or number 3, but I was pretty sure it'd be number 2. So I went with Poltergeist. All right, Kill, this is it, man. We got to go to our number 1 movie, unless you have any honorable mentions.
I do.
But, okay.
I do. Okay. So, well, 2 of them are movies that you guys have mentioned. But first honorable mention is Cat People. Shouts out to that. And secondly, 2 Pieces. And finally, shouts out to Basket Case.
Yep.
I didn't forget about you. You might be cheesy, but you were fun. So,
Nice.
Isn't there like 3 of those, right? I think there's 3 basket cases.
I think you're right.
I think so.
I think you're right. I only ever saw the first one, and that one was a little.
I used to have all of them. Yep.
You did?
I did.
Wow. Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my number one is one that was pure nightmare fuel for me as a kid, and this movie should not be PG-13, but he pushed for this movie to be PG-13, and I believe, and guys, check me out on this. I believe it was the first movie to receive that because Stephen King said so. Number one,
Steven Spielberg.
Yes, Steven Spielberg. I'm so sorry. So the Stevens in my life here.
That's right.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg. But my number one is Poltergeist. So look,
there it is.
Yeah, you probably knew this, Night. I mean, come on, there's no lying here. And until this movie came out, I didn't even know the word poltergeist. That sounds scary in itself. Okay, I didn't use that in my vernacular around the house. Like, Tom and Jerry Scooby-Doo is chasing a poltergeist. I never said that. It was a ghost. Okay, but no, this movie is an amazing movie. Because the cast that you have here, they feel like a real family. The stakes continue to ratchet up day after day, night after night. Carol Ann being abducted, trees trying to molest young boys in their bedroom, killer clowns underneath the bed trying to choke it out. People picking their faces apart in mirrors, and this is all PG-13, right, Steven?
Right.
Mr. Spielberg? Okay, if you say so. But hey, back in the 80s, there were no rules, man. It's just like, hey, this is what you're gonna watch.
That's what was so great about him.
It was. No, that's true. Good point.
But no, it's an amazing film, and this was easily my number one, just on the Nightmare Fuel rating that I have in my memories. And it's an amazing film. If you have not seen it, don't worry about that remake. We don't really talk about that.
I need to definitely try to find that. Yeah, I need to try to find that clown and send it to you in the mail.
You don't have to do that.
You gotta give him a heart attack.
Yeah.
Kill, you gotta tell them, man, when we were kids, man, that scene really got you, bro. I mean, it creeped me out.
I'm not the biggest fan of clowns. It's just something about them,
This clown messed him up worse than Pennywise.
Wow.
But see, I would be smart if Pennywise was talking to me from a sewer. He wouldn't get me because I don't trust clowns.
Holy shit.
Right.
There you go.
Nice. Hey, also with that remake, and I remember vaguely watching it. I don't even really remember it, man. But
the remake of Poltergeist?
Yeah, they did the remake of it.
Yeah.
When the hell did that come out?
I don't know, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that.
I think
maybe longer. Yeah, probably longer. But do you remember? First of all, do you remember anything about it? And if you do you remember anything in particular that made it so much worse than the original?
No, I don't remember anything about it because I've kind of blocked it out, or that's just how underwhelming it was. That it and I guess the easiest way to elaborate on it is Pet Sematary, the remake.
Yeah.
It's not good at all, but it did some stuff out of left wing where I'm gonna remember all of that. Whereas Poltergeist, I don't remember it going, down a different path at all.
Yeah. All right. Very, very cool. Okay, Coriander, what do we have for your number one?
All right, so I have to do an honorable mention because most people will probably be shocked that this is not on my top 5 list of movies of 82, the greatest of all time. But I knew that you guys would do justice, and everybody knows how much I love Jason. So Friday Part 3 is my honorable mention.
Wow.
And disappointment.
I know, but I always talk, Jason when I can, and I wanted to shed some light on some other movies other than Always the Same.
Right.
So, but I still have to mention it because I love Jason. I love Jason. But okay.
Obviously, not that much.
Hey, stop. No, I knew one of you would like do that, and I should have known it was going to be you, Killian. But that's not true. That's not true. No. Okay. So my number one is The Thing.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
And the reason why it beat Friday the 13th is because of the special effects and the incredible work that was put into this movie and the cast. And I mean, you've got, it's just totally different. You got I don't want to compare them because I'm not here to talk about Friday. I'm trying to still talk about it, but I can't, and I'm going to try to stop. So I'm going to stop. But it's such a cool movie. And I love Kurt Russell in this role. And I love the guy from, I can never, what the hell's his name? From They Live.
Keith David.
I could never remember his name. And I love him. I love him in this movie. I love him in They Live. And yeah, it's just an awesome, incredible movie.
All right, that was a good one, no doubt about it. I don't have any other honorable mentions for my list. I'm just gonna go with my number one. Before I do that, let me prep, because there is absolutely no lying here at all. So let me just do something here and get situated here. Get my hat on so I can be ready to rock and roll. You see that?
Yeah, I see that.
You see that?
Hey, I need one of those.
All right. So my number one,
you got it.
There's no doubt about it. My number one is John Carpenter's The Thing. Listen, guys, we all knew that it was coming to this point, at least for me. This movie is magical. You know, I've talked about it so much. We're going to continue to talk about it because it's just that good. Me and Kill, we saw this movie when we were kids, and I remember us just, enjoying the hell out of it. We saw it with our cousins, and just different scenes will always be special to us, as a family type of thing. But just the movie alone, the atmosphere, the claustrophobia, the paranoia, the cast, Kurt Russell always hits a home run. But like Coriander said, Keith David was amazing, but you also had some other great character actors. You had Wilford Brimley, who I thought was fantastic. He was great. David Clennon, T.K. Carter. It was just a great cast. They spent time together before they even started shooting the film. You know what I mean? And so you really get a sense that they were this group that worked together. And Kill, I know you've said it before, each one of them had their own specialty. You had people that were meteorologists, we had helicopter pilots, we had cooks, we had people that were biologists, scientists, and so everyone had their own little thing. And I thought it was cool because these characters, they were just fun to watch. And Carpenter even said this is his favorite film, and that says a lot because he's had so many great movies. But obviously I got to talk about the practical effects. Shout out to Rob Bottin, who spent a year basically living on the set so he could do these special effects. Stan Winston came in and helped out a little bit on that scene in the kennel with the dogs when they became the Thing. This is just a great film, all in all, man. In the practical effects stand up to this day. Kill alluded to it as far as the prequel, which, I enjoy. It's a good movie as far as the story, but the fact that they originally wanted to use practical effects, but the studio tampered with everything and decided to kind of gloss over their practical work with CGI, it just totally takes you out of it when dealing with the monster in that film. Whereas in the 1982 film, the monster just feels real. It feels organic. When the change happens, you're just so invested in it because it's right there in camera, But it's just a great movie, and you don't know who's who. Every time I watch it, it's fun. It doesn't get old. I've seen this movie hundreds of times over the years, and anyways, it had to be my number one. There was no doubt about it. So my number one is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Nice.
All right, guys. This was fun. This was a lot of fun. Going through these years for you guys watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it too. But let us know what you think in the comment section down below. Let us know what your top 5 is. Let us know what you think of our picks for 1982. There's so much to choose from. Also, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps supports us. We'd appreciate it. Don't forget to check out our episode for 1980 and also our episode for 1981. And obviously, we're going to be heading to 1983 very soon as well. So keep an eye out for that. We'll catch you guys later. So if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.
Peace.
Upchurch.